So to begin practice, if you're not already, let's come down onto the back just to settle into a comfortable reclining posture here. So take that release down onto the back body and then just take a few minutes, a few moments just to shuffle a little bit to get any fidgets out of the body. The palms can be open to the sky, they can rest to the belly, or you might bring the arms overhead. Eyes closed if that's comfortable. And then once you've found the position that works for the body, just allow the body to release down, allow the body to be held, to sink down into the surface beneath you. Take a moment just to sense into the body, to sense how the body is feeling right now. And also sensing into how you're feeling energetically, emotionally. Just taking this time to check in. Finding a gentle rhythm of the breath through the nostrils. Not forcing the breath, just allowing it to settle into a relaxed rhythm. Noticing how it is to be with the breath. And carrying this presence and focus as we transition into practice together. So our focus for class today is our back bend postures. And we'll take the first portion of class just to start to activate, prepare to find engagement in all of the parts of the body that we'll need to help us to access those poses. And we can begin from this reclining position, and if they're not already, we're going to bend the knees so that the feet are stepping flat to the floor. Hands can stay resting on the belly, or you can stretch the arms wide either side of the body, and we'll simply drop the knees over to one side. So allow the knees to release over to one side, and then move the knees back to center and over to the second side from there. So just moving those knees, those legs from one side to the other. And you might feel as you do so just a little bit of movement and rotation around through the ribcage and torso. And just make sure you take an even number of movements to each side. So next time you drop the knees down, we'll return to center. So bring the knees back to center. And if the hips feel a little bit off center, bring the hips and pelvis to neutral. And the hands can rest flat to the floor here. We're going to begin with a little roll of the pelvis forwards. So as we roll the pelvis forwards, we create a bit of arch, a bit of space between the lower back and the floor. And then from here, we'll roll the pelvis back. So we close that gap between the body and earth. We lengthen the base of the spine towards our heels. And then again, we'll roll the pelvis forwards, gently arching the back. And we'll spread the body down into the floor. So taking a few more rounds of these movements. Feeling the movement in the pelvis, along the spine, in other parts of the body. And then as we continue with these movements, we're going to start progressing towards a gentle bridge pose. So as we spread the back down, connect the hands and feet into the floor. First round, we'll lift the pelvis just a little, a few inches from the mat, and then we'll roll the pelvis down and we'll roll the pelvis forward. So we create that arch in the lower back again. Let's take another round. Spread the back down, lift up, maybe a fraction higher into bridge. And again, we'll roll our way down and we'll continue with these movements. 2 more rounds. So each time, find the height in the bridge pose that feels it's working for you. No need to push or force into the poses. Just allow the body to find its own place. And the next time we come up into that bridge pose, we'll pause in the top position. So find the top position in your bridge and then feel as though you're trying to pull and squeeze your feet back towards your shoulders. And you might feel that engages all the muscles along the backs of the legs. And then feel as though you're trying to slide the feet forwards away from the body. Let's take a few more rounds. Squeezing the feet back, squeezing the feet forwards. And then one more time. We'll squeeze back, we'll hold for a couple of breaths. And then as we soften that engagement, we'll roll the body all the way down onto the mat again. And once the pelvis makes contact, step the feet 1 pace forward, so a little further away from the mat. Again, spread the back down. We're going to come back up into our bridge pose from there. So this time a longer bridge. Find your top position again. And from the top position, squeeze the feet back towards the shoulders. Feel as though you're trying to slide the feet forwards away from the body. Take a couple more rounds, squeezing back, squeezing forwards, and then one last time. Squeeze back and hold. And then softly release all the way down once more. One final round. So step the feet again, 1 pace forwards. It might be a little step or your legs might be more or less long. The longer the legs are, the more difficult it will be to ground the soles of the feet. So if the toes are lifted, that's fine. Again, squeeze the shoulders back, spread the back down as you connect the hands and feet into the floor, lift through the back line of the body, squeeze the heels back, squeeze the heels forwards. 2 more times, squeezing back, squeezing forwards, and then one last time. We squeeze back, we hold there. Can we keep that soft, steady breath? Okay, let's release all the way down. Step the feet in again, a little closer to the body. Just let the breath find its soft rhythm again. And then from your back, we're going to roll over to one side. And from our side, we're going to come up and around to either a kneeling position or a cross-legged seated position, whichever is your preference. I'm going to turn my back around to the camera so you can follow my movements. We're going to take some movements for the shoulders. Really important to kind of mobilize the shoulders when we're thinking about these back bend poses. So let's begin by stretching the arms wide of the body. And then from here, we're going to draw the arms back behind us as if we're squeezing a big ball behind the back body. And with that squeeze of the shoulder blades together, let's take a bend of the elbows. Just tap the hands together. Again, squeeze the elbows and the shoulder blades back. And then from there, we'll stretch the arms long and we'll reach the arms all the way up to the sky. In the top position, again, let's take a bend into the elbows. Bring the hands together. We're going to keep the hand away from the back of the neck. Squeeze the shoulders back, squeeze the shoulder blades back. And then again, reach the arms to the sky. Reach the hands all the way back behind you. And we'll take another round. Hands tap together. Draw the hands away from the back line. Arms go long. We reach all the way up to the sky. And we'll take another round. One final time. Let's reach arms all the way wide, all the way back behind us. Take that bend of the elbows. And then stretching to the sky one final time for this sequence. Take the bend into the elbows again. Squeeze back, reach all the way up. And then as we release the fingertips down to the floor, we can take a few gentle rolls of the shoulders forwards and back, just easing away any tension in the muscles, in the shoulders. Okay, and then from here, let's switch our position again. So we're going to come to a seated position. Feet are flat to the floor. the hands back behind the body. So we can lean back into the hands. The fingers might be turned slightly diagonally to the sides. They might be pointing around towards the wall behind you. Again, shrug the shoulders back to lift the chest up. So we don't want to be slumpy down into our pose. We want to sit nice and tall. As we press the hands and the feet down, lift the sit bones up, and then hover the sit bones towards the heels, slide them towards the feet, and then just glide the sit bones back. So we'll take a few rounds, hovering forwards, hovering back, and then one last time. Hover forwards, set the sit bones down. Lift the chest again. Keep some pressure down into the hands. Keep a little squeeze of the shoulder blades towards the center of the back. And then we can lift the toes to slide the sit bones back towards the hands. And then just release the hands for a moment. Again, you might take a little roll of the shoulders back and forwards, just easing through those shoulders. Let's set the hands again, this time just behind the line of the hips, the pelvis. Fingers can turn sideways. Let's step the feet in a little bit closer. Again, shoulders roll back. We're going to lift the sit bones up, and this time rock forwards onto the balls of the feet. So take the knees forwards. We're bringing a little length through the fronts of the hips. As you take the knees forwards, you might turn the fingers slightly back. And then from there, we'll rock the hips back, take the heels down, take 2 more rounds, rocking forwards, just as far as the body carries you. And we rock back. Last time, let's take the knees forwards as far as they want to travel. Once you've found that position, pause, lift the chest again, and then fire up the muscles along the backs and the fronts of the legs. So feel as if you're drawing the base of the spine towards the backs of your knees. Keep the pressure through the palms, keep the breath soft. And then again, we'll rock the weight back, come all the way down. Once you've set those sit bones down onto the floor, you can either roll over the shins or take the legs out to one side as we come into our all fours position. So come into all fours, set the hands underneath the shoulders, spread the fingers, and just take a few rounds of cat-cow in whichever way works for you. So often we take a very deliberate cat-cow from the base of the spine to the base of the skull, but just begin to move the spine in any way which feels soft and natural for you. And then as we take these few rounds of cat-cow, we're just going to begin to move the body and the spine in any other ways that feel good for you right now. So you can shift forwards, you can shift the hips back and side to side. You might draw the hips all the way back towards those heels or bend the elbows, whatever feels good. Maybe find an up dog here. Just feeling into that body this morning. Okay, just beginning to settle these movements down again. So come back to your neutral all fours position. And from here, we're going to draw the hips back towards the heels. Now, my preference is to take a tuck of the toes here as I draw the hips back, but I appreciate that's not always comfortable for the toes. So if tops of the feet flat works better for you, then that's fine. And you don't have to necessarily sit the hips down onto the heels. So you can keep a bit of distance between those sit bones and the heels. So toes tucked or untucked. Take the hips as far back as feels comfortable. Keep the hands spreading into the floor. And then from here, let's pull back on the palms and feel as though you're drawing your upper chest through your arms. So we're taking a little like cat-cow movement, but for the upper spine. And then from here, we start to round the back, drawing the chin to the chest, spread between the shoulder blades. And again, we'll draw back on the palms, we'll draw the chest forwards, and we'll round that back. 2 more rounds. And then from here, we'll roll our way back up to the all fours position. So come back up to your tabletop position. And then from your tabletop, we're going to step the hands forward. So we're going to take one last movement from our all fours position. Step the hands quite a distance forwards of the shoulders, and rather than dropping into the dog tilt here with the arch in the lower back, keep some tone in the belly, so just a hint of cat stretch. And then from here, we're going to draw the hips back towards the heels again. Draw the hips to the space behind you, draw the chest down towards the floor, and then pressure through the palms. We'll draw our way up. We'll take 2 more rounds. So draw the hips back. Again, they don't have to travel all the way back to the heels. The focus here is the sensations and the movements through the shoulders. One more time. Let's draw our way up, draw our way back, pause and hold there. And as we breathe into this position, begin to create just a little more pressure down through your palms into the floor. And then once again, we'll draw our way back up and we'll return to a tabletop position. So we can bring the hands underneath the shoulders again. From here, we're going to come into downward dog. So let's take a tuck of the toes. Find your way up into downward dog. Any which way works for you. And just again, allow the body to move in any ways it wants to move. So just get any little areas of tension, feeling with the breath. Okay, settling those movements down. And from your downward dog, let's lift the heels, find a little rounding out through the back of the body again, roll forwards to high plank. From high plank, we're going to come all the way down to the floor, so knees can stay up or down. But as we lower, we want the thighs and the belly to reach the floor at more or less the same time. And once you've come down, untuck the toes. For a moment, you can bring your nose to the floor, so find some length through the back of the neck. We're going to keep the length through the back of the neck as we press the feet down and as we lift the nose and the chest a few inches above the floor. And as we come up, we can float the hands as well. Lift the hands, squeeze the shoulders back, and keep the strong contact of the tops of the feet into the floor as we lower the nose halfway down. And again, let's lift. Feel the base of the spine rolling to the back of the knees. And let's lower halfway down again. One more time. We're going to lift. We're going to hold that top position. Feel the chin drawing towards the throat. Feel the strength through the front and the back lines of the body. And then from your cobra position, or your low cobra, we're going to bring the hands down again, and we'll come up through all fours or up to plank, back into downward dog, or draw back to child's pose. We can bring the forehead to the floor or the backs of the hands. Take a couple of rounds of breath there. And then from your downward dog, we're going to take a transition forwards to standing fold. So take a step or walk forwards to standing fold. And once you arrive in your standing fold, soften the knees and just release the top of the head towards the floor. And as you spread the toes wide, you might feel just a little more active connection down through the feet and a little more active lift up through the sit bones, gradually working some length through the backs of the knees. Okay, let's release the fingertips to the floor if they're not already. Take a deep bend into the knees, lift the chest, extend the top of the head forwards, and then from here we're going to step the left foot all the way back and release the left knee down onto the floor from there. Take a couple of moments just to feel into your pose. We want a relatively long lunge position. We're going to squeeze the front leg, the back leg together, and then just shift the hips forwards and back a couple of times. And then the next time you draw the hips forwards, we'll keep that squeeze of the legs together. And we're going to come up to lunge. We're going to reach the arms back behind us and take an interlace of the fingers. If this feels challenging, you might use a belt to hold between the hands instead. But let's roll the shoulders back, draw the knuckles towards the back knee, and keep just a little lift through the upper chest here. So we want to Feel that the lift is through the upper chest rather than dropping into the lower back. Long and strong through that whole front line of the body. So optionally, we can stay here in this position, clasp with the fingers. Or optionally, we can take first the left hand onto the back leg. Keep that strength through the front line. You can reach the right arm up and over. Or you might circle the right arm all the way back. Might take a little bit of fiddling around to find that that left heel. And then again, draw the hips forwards, keep the chest lifted. Take some more breaths here. Okay, softly releasing the hands. Bring those palms all the way down onto the floor. We'll keep the left hand down, lead with the right elbow, just a few twists. Lift the right elbow up, and then take the right hand down, tapping it to the floor. 2 more times. Right elbow draws up and back, and then right hand sets down. 1 last time. Let's take the twist, then hold the twist position. Sweep the top arm up. And then we can bring that right hand all the way down. And from here, we're going to step the left foot forwards alongside the right, returning to standing fold. And then from standing fold, we'll move through second side. So take the bend into the knees again. Step the right foot back, long stance, bring the right knee down to the floor. We begin with the squeeze of the legs together and that little shift of the hips forwards and back. Okay, draw the hips forwards. Let's find that lunge position. So sweep the arms all the way back behind you. As you do so, as you take your interlace of fingers, other index finger on top, again, roll the shoulders back. Keep the strength and length through the front line. We'll draw the knuckles towards the back knee. Keep that lift of the chest. Again, we might choose to stay here. This might be the right pose for us today. Or we can reach the right hand back to the right leg. We can sweep the left arm up from there, staying with this position, or circling that left arm all the way to the back leg. I'm going to stay with this position this side. Okay, let's release those hands down once again. Plant the right hand, lead with the left elbow. We'll draw the left elbow up and then tap the left hand down. So as we take these movements, really feeling the movement around through the rib cage and chest. And then third and final time, we'll reach that left arm up. We'll hold the twist position. And then let's release once more. Let's take that top hand all the way down, step the right foot forwards alongside the left foot and return to that standing fold position. We're going to take one more round of lunges from here. So let's begin with the bend in the knees again. Lift the chest and step that left foot back. So left foot steps back again, bring the left knee down onto the floor, get that squeeze of the legs together. And this time, as we sweep the arms forwards, we're going to cross the thumbs, we're going to fan the fingers wide, and we're going to extend the arms long without dropping into the lower back again. So let's keep a little bit of a containment through the front line. We start to lift the arms up just as high as they want to travel. And once you've found your top position, squeeze the arms towards center. Lift the upper chest again. Lightly lift your gaze to the sky. And then hands come all the way down. And again, let's switch sides from here. So we'll step the left foot forwards. Take the bend into the knees and step the right foot back. Knee comes down to the floor. Legs squeeze to center. As we take the arms forwards, the other thumb on top, spread the fingers. Make sure the arms stay long as we start to lift the arms up as high as the body carries them. In the top position, squeeze the arms to center, lift the chest lightly, and see if we can keep a relatively soft and steady flow of the breath. Okay, let's take those hands down again. Initially, we'll step the right foot forwards, and then from your standing fold, let's step the feet back. You can either return to downward dog, or you can come into child's pose or kneeling position. Let's take a few soft rounds of breath here, just to find that sense of focus once again, dropping awareness back into the body. So if you're not already, begin to return to downward facing dog from there. So draw your way back up into downward dog. And then from your downward dog, we're going to walk the hands back to the feet. So let's find our standing fold position at the back edge of the mat. From your standing fold, let's take a deep bend in the knees again. Lift the chest, lengthen the head forwards. Right hand to right hip, left hand to right foot or ankle. Just take a little twist around to the right for a couple of breaths. And then we'll release and we'll take that twist around to the second side. Finding your fold once more. From your fold, we'll either roll our way up or you can lift the chest first, flat back. Find your transition up to standing pose. And once you've allowed that transition to land to your upright standing position, we'll just begin to walk the feet forwards to find the center of your mat. So find the center line of your mat. And once you've found that center line, bringing your awareness to the feet again. So we want the toes spreading. We want to lift through the inner arches, the outer arches of the feet. And then we're going to bring the hands around to the back body. So the palms of the hands resting to the pelvis, the broad flat bone on the back of the body, rather than feeling that you're kind of pressing the top of your butt muscles into your hands. So arching the lower back, feel as though you're using the hands to help lengthen the base of the spine down towards the heels. And from there, we'll feel a lift and lengthen through the whole front chain of the body. As the shoulders roll back, start to lift your gaze up, almost as though someone had placed their hands between your shoulders and was lifting to your chest. And this might be good for today, just staying with this position. If the lower back feels super comfortable, you can bring the hands together at the chest, lift the chest to the thumbs so you get that little feedback point just to find a little more lift through the chest, strong through the belly again. And if you feel comfortable here, optionally you can lengthen the arms alongside the head as if you're carrying a big ball just to the space behind you. I'm going to keep my hands at the chest. And then as you squeeze the legs to center, let's start to lead with the chest as we draw our way up from there. And once we've come all the way up, we'll release the arms alongside the body again. Breath starts to find its soft rhythm. We're going to take a balance pose, a dancer's pose. So a balance and a back bend in one, so all the bonuses. We're going to take two different versions of this standing balance pose. So for the first version, we can soften the knees, left hand to left hip. We're going to take the heel of the right hand, of the right foot, to the palm of the right hand. So as we bend the right knee, we find some connection between the right heel and the right hand. Keep the left knee soft, and then just start to hinge forwards. And as you do so, lift the right heel up into the right hand. You can bring the left hand to the chest, or you might extend the left arm out in front of you, whichever feels comfortable. And just feel that sense of engagement again through the belly, that sense of lift through the right foot into the right hand. And then we begin to draw our way up from there. Let's set that right foot down on the floor, release the hands as well. I'll turn around so we can see what we're doing, second side. Okay, right hand to right hip. Soften the knees. We're going to take the heel of the left foot to the palm of the left hand. Keep that right knee soft. Rather than arching the back again, just a sense that you're slightly drawing the base of the spine down towards the left knee, and we start to hinge forwards. Lift the left foot up into the left hand. Right hand can stay at chest, or right arm can reach out in front of the body. And again, from here, we softly, softly start to reverse our way back to our mountain pose. So set the left foot down. So that was round one of dancer's pose, what I'd call like an active version of dancer's pose. For round two, we're going to take a more traditional variation on the posture. So again, we'll begin with the bend into the right knee, but this time we're going to take the right arm out to the side. So as we take that bend into the right knee, we can either catch from the inner edge of the right foot, or we can catch from the outer edge of the right shin. Whichever option we're taking, particularly if we're holding the outer shin, actively roll the shoulder back. Sometimes when we're in this position, the shoulder might want to have a tendency to round its way forward. So either outer shin or inner foot. Again, soften the left knee. You can bring the hand to the chest. And as you start to draw forwards, we're going to lift that right foot up and into the right hand. Again, we can stay hand to chest, or we can extend the left arm forwards. You might find that the right knee wants to rotate out to the side. So can we feel a bit of a squeeze of that right knee to center? Okay, and then again, let's begin to roll our way up. Set the right foot down onto the floor, release the left arm. We'll take one more round to that second side. So we begin with right hand to right hip, left elbow to left hip, soften the knees, take the bend into the left leg. Again, catch from inner foot or outer shin, shoulders roll back. Just notice if the back wants to create that arch, so keep the containment through the front line. And from here, we start to draw our way forwards into the balance last round. Left foot lifting up and back. Right hand doing what it wants to do. Again, get a little bit of squeeze of that left knee towards your center line. Okay, let's start to reverse again. Draw your weight up, set that left foot down. And as you release the arms, as you return to your mountain pose, we're going to sweep those arms forwards all the way up to the sky. Soften the knees to come down into standing fold. We'll just touch into this fold. And then as you lift the chest, step the feet back. Let's return to our front bodies. So we're going to come all the way down onto the floor again. And this time, once you come down, as we did earlier, take the tops of the feet flat to the floor, but rather than keeping the hands alongside the chest, lengthen the arms, so the arms are alongside the body with the palms flat to the floor. We'll begin with the nose resting on the mat. Roll the shoulders back, lift the head and the chest, lengthen the top of the head forwards. Can you feel the sense of strength through the front body, that lift of the belly button to the chest? Once we feel that engagement, we can lift the hands, we can lift the feet and the knees, stretching away with the toes, with the fingers through the top of the head, finding your locust pose. And then from your locust pose, we're going to start to lower our way down. You can turn the head to one direction, bring your cheek onto the backs of your hands, just let that breath and body settle. And then let's come into a second round of locust pose. So same option again, arms alongside the body, or you can take the interlace of the hands behind your back. We explored a little bit earlier in lunge. Either option, bring the nose to the floor, shrug the shoulders back. And then from there, we press the feet down. We draw the base of the spine to the heels, and then we start to lift the chest. Hands stretching back now, lifting the hands away from the back body. And lastly, we can lift those knees and feet. And so this time, as we begin to lower our way down from locust pose, we're going to turn the head to the opposite direction. So again, take the hands down, turn around onto one cheek, take a couple of breaths there. We're going to take a few more postures from our front body, transitioning next to our Sphinx pose. So from here, we're going to bring the elbows underneath the shoulders, more or less at least, the arms, the forearms to the floor, the hands spreading into the floor as well. Now again, just for a moment, bring your awareness to your lower back. In this position, there might be a tendency just to let the back go, let the belly kind of release down into the floor. We want to find a sense of lift through that belly. So just a little bit of helpful tone in the belly. Almost feel as if you're slightly drawing the base of the spine down towards the floor. And then as you pull back on the forearms and the hands, feel as if you're drawing your chest through your upper arms, lifting your gaze forwards. And you might visualize trying to kind of pull the body forwards to the space in front of you with the arms. Okay, let's softly release down. So let the belly release, let the body come down. Again, you can take the hands flat. You might rest the cheek down or the forehead onto the hands. You might take just a little rock of your hips from side to side here, just easing through that lower back. We're going to take a second round of that last pose, of our Sphinx pose. So when you feel ready to, let's set the arms again. So come onto the forearms, spread the fingers, get that tone in the belly. And as you pull back on the forearms, this time drawing the chest forwards, optionally explore a little lift of the elbow. So it might be just an inch from the floor, or you might draw the arms a little longer still. If you feel any pinching, hinging, discomfort in the lower back, then we're going to release the elbows back and just find the position that works for the body today. And after your next breath, again, we can soften our way down, let the body release and relax. Let's bring the left forearm parallel to the top edge of the mat. I'm going to build towards bow pose, Dhanurasana. We're going to start with one-legged bow pose though. So let's take the left forearm down onto the floor, parallel to that top edge. The right knee bends here. We're going to reach back with the right hand. So just as we did in dancer's pose a little while ago, either outer shin or inner foot is fine, but roll the shoulder back. As you press the left forearm down, get that little bit of tone in the belly, lift the right knee and start to draw the right foot back in space. If you feel you're rolling onto the outer left hip, then we're going to actively create some pressure down through the front side of the right pelvis into the floor. Okay, let's release. We'll switch up sides. So take the right arm across the top of the mat, take the bend into the left knee, reach back with the left arm. Okay, right foot presses down, right arm presses down. As you lift the left knee, start to draw that left foot up and back in space. Okay, and then once again, we can start to lower our way down. Release the forehead onto the backs of the hands or the forearms. Maybe take that little rock of the hips one side to the other. So that's one-legged bow pose. And that might be where you want to stay with your practice today, one-legged bow. If you want to work towards full bow pose, Dhanurasana, then we're going to take the transition into bow pose from locust pose that we were practicing just a few moments ago. So again, option one for the next pose is to take another round of one-legged bow, or option two is to reset for locust pose, roll the shoulders back, lift the chest, lift the head, lift the hands, lift the feet and knees, and then from locust pose, bend the knees, reach back with the hands, and from here, we start to lift our way into Dhanurasana. Toes don't necessarily have to touch, but just check that the legs aren't splaying out too wide towards the sides of the mat. So a little roll of the inner thighs up to the sky, lifting the chest, breathing into the belly. And when it feels time to release, let's start to lower our way down once again. Forehead to floor or forehead to hands. Take some breaths here, just ease through that lower back. And then from your front body, we're going to transition to a kneeling position. So just find your way up to kneeling position. And once we come into kneeling position, you can either sit back to the heels, or you can take this twist from a more upright position, just reaching right arm back, left hand to right hip. My preference is to sit back on the heels, take left hand to right thigh, reach the right hand back from there. And then let's roll around through center, twist to the left. Okay, let's release the twist position. So, time to explore our camel pose, Ustrasana. So, we're going to take a couple of rounds, and for the first round, at least, let's come up to a regular camel pose position. So, if the knees feel a little bit sensitive, you can double up your mat. And then let's take a tuck of the toes for the first round. Take the hands around to the back of the pelvis, just as we did in the standing back bend a short while ago. Rather than arching the back, drawing the chest forwards, we want to feel the base of the spine lengthening down. We want to feel that lift through the whole front line of the body. And as you squeeze your shoulders back, we'll lift the upper chest, we'll lift our gaze slightly to the sky, and we can stay hands to the back body, or keeping that body strong, and without twisting, we can reach the hands back and see if we can locate the heels. Now we want to keep the hips over the knees, not forwards at the knees, just directly above those knees, and then shrug the shoulders back and really feel that lift coming through the upper spine and chest. Chin can stay tucked in towards the body, or you might lightly lift your gaze all the way up towards the ceiling, but without throwing the head back. And as you squeeze the thighs together again, let's lead with the chest, let's draw our way up. And as we untuck the toes, we'll sit back towards the heels again. Let the breath come to its rhythm. So for round 2 of our camel pose, we can do the same thing once again. So with toes tucked, hands to hips, we can stay here. If you want a little more distance to travel back towards the heels, toes can be untucked. So we can take the tops of the feet flat. From there, the same rules apply. If you want to work towards an Ustrasana variation, Laghu Vadrasana, so thunderbolt pose, I'll demonstrate first, and then we can maybe explore that together if it feels the right option for you. So for thunderbolt, the hips do drop back rather than staying directly above the knees. And as we start to take those hips back, we take the hands onto the lower legs, wherever they come to. For me, right up onto the chunky part of the calf muscles, and then from there, find the depth of pose that works. So it might be we stay here, we might start to lower the head down towards the floor. But however low we travel, we want to make sure that we can come back up. So for today, it might be that we simply drop back to here, and then up we come from there. So option 1, camel pose with either toes tucked or untucked. Option 2 is to work towards that thunderbolt variation. Either way, we keep the strength through the belly, that scoop of the belly, the lift to the chest, shoulders roll back. We start to move into camel pose, or we start to reach the hands towards the backs of the lower legs. Control the movement, so nice and steady through the movement. Make sure you can find your way back from your thunderbolt. And then once you squeeze those thighs together to draw your way up from camel pose or thunderbolt pose, again, let's release, sit back towards the heels, and we'll take a second round of that seated kneeling twist position. Okay, let's twist to the left. And then back to center once again. If the mat is rolled up, we can unfurl that. Now let's switch around to come down onto our backs. So take your time to transition down onto your back. I'm just going to switch directions. And then once you've come down onto your back, we're going to set up for our bridge pose. So we took this a little earlier in the practice, but we're just going to revisit this posture. So the feet flat to the floor, just about able to reach the heels with the fingertips, hands flat to the floor for this first round. Roll the shoulders back, spread that back down, so a little bit of active pressure, lower back to floor. And as we come up into bridge pose, we draw the base of the spine towards the backs of the knees. Once you find your top position, optionally interlace the fingers and shrug, wriggle, walk the shoulders underneath the body. And as we keep a lift of the chest, there's a bit of pressure through the back of the head into the floor. So we're drawing the chin ever so slightly away from the chest. Heels are squeezing back to shoulders. And then if you are working with that interlace of the hands, let's unclasp the fingers and then start to peel the upper body, the middle back, the pelvis all the way down. Let the pelvis settle. Let the breath find its natural rhythm. Now we're going to take another round of that last pose, of our bridge pose. Again, I'm going to offer you some options for consideration, but if they don't sound like something you want to explore in your practice today, stay with the regular bridge. So option one, once we come up into bridge, will be to take a one-legged variation. Take maybe 4 or 5 breaths and then start to roll your way down. We've got 2 more rounds of this pose, so you can take one round, one leg up, second round, opposite side. The other option you might have to explore is from our bridge pose to move into upward bow pose. So if we want to move to upward bow pose, we need to bring the hands to the floor. Fingertips can be just underneath the shoulders, or you can slightly turn the fingertips out towards the sides of the mat. Rather than elbows dropping out, though, wrap the elbows in. So we've got a nice strong support and engagement of all the muscles around the shoulder blades. From your bridge, we press down through hands and feet, and we work towards a lift of the head. It might be just a little lift, an inch above the floor. We might start to lengthen the arms and the legs. When we want to reverse from bridge, chin to chest, backs of the shoulders down, and then the pelvis follows. So we're going to take our second round from here. Let's all begin with the bridge pose. So spread the back down, connect the hands and feet to the floor, and then start to lift your body away from the earth into that bridge pose. In bridge, maybe one-legged variation, or we bring the hands to the floor, fingertips slightly underneath the shoulders or slightly turned out, wrap the elbows in. Keep the belly strong. Glutes are firing, we draw the tailbone to the backs of the knees, we press to lift, maybe just a fraction. When it feels time to release, we bring the chin to the chest and we start to ease our way down once again. Bring the body to the earth. Take your time to settle back into that natural flow of breath. If that feels enough of your back bending for today, stay here breathing, hands to belly. If you'd like to explore one last round, we once again begin by finding that bridge position. We lift to bridge. From bridge, we work perhaps towards the upward bow pose. If you feel very comfortable with upward bow pose, again, a one-legged variation is an option. Lifting one leg to the sky. Take maybe 2 or 3 breaths before you switch legs. This is our final round, so take both sides. And then when you feel ready to release this round, we draw chin to chest, we release the backs of shoulders. Let's come all the way down once again. So soft, gentle release, body to the floor. We'll keep those knees bent. We're going to come into a reclining twist from here. So knees can drop to one side or the other. Hands can rest to belly or arms can open wide. And this time we'll stay with the twist. So let's bring those knees through center and then release the knees down to the second side. Inviting the energy of those back bends to begin to find a sense of equilibrium again, a sense of balance. This time, as you bring your knees back to center, bring the hips and pelvis to neutral as well, bring the knees in towards the chest. Take a hug of the knees in and a lift of the nose up towards the knees. And then from here, we're going to rock up to a seated position. So just find your way up. Once you've come up to your seated position, we're going to bring the legs, the feet, together. So the legs are making a diamond shape. And then we'll take a fold through center. And as we do so, allow the back to round a little bit. So allow the chin to drop in, allow your gaze or your internal gaze, if the eyes are closed, to travel down towards the floor. And again, inviting that sense of softening and settling here. Let's keep the head heavy as we start to roll our way up. So find your way up nice and softly, nice and slowly. Once you come all the way up to an upright position, we'll extend the legs long for a moment, and then let's switch positions to any comfortable upright seat. So cross-legged or kneeling. I'm going to sit up on a yoga block here. If you have a cushion, a book, a block to sit up onto, that can be helpful to create that lift, that length through the spine. And then once you've found your upright seat, we'll turn the palms open. Allow the fingers to softly curl into the palms. Rest the backs of the hands to the knees or thighs. A gentle roll of the shoulders back. Eyes closed if that's comfortable. And as you stay sitting upright in your pose, feel that the chin is just slightly drawing back towards the throat, ever so subtle. And from there, allow your awareness to settle on the breath again. So taking a minute or so here before we transition for Shavasana. And then no need to rush this transition, but in your own time, we'll take a transition from our seated position down onto our backs once again. So when you feel ready to, start to make that journey down. And once we come down onto our backs, in the same way as we did at the start of the practice, let's take a few moments to get any little wriggles or fidgets out of the body. Find a reclining position that works for you, knees bent, legs long, hands to wherever feels comfortable. And then find that sense of release once again. And as we take this time in Shavasana to integrate the effects of practice, to close our practice, again, the awareness stays settled within the body and the breath. So if you feel the mind gets drawn away into distraction, just notice where it's gone and walk it back to what's here right now.